everyone, back to you in today's video. Going to have a look at the weather next week to 10 days in today's video, and then we'll have a look at the weather for the rest of the month, and that takes us into the start of December with the CFS V2 500, bit of our height anomaly. So quite a bit to cram into today's video, but we'll start off by having a look at the snow that we've got coming up today, because there is going to be some snow in the northern part of the country. It had a very cold night last night with widespread frost, and now we've got a weather system moving into that cold air. As that front engages with the cold air, it will be delivering snow to northern England and to Scotland. Further south, we're going to be looking at heavy rain. I haven't had much rain so far this autumn down in the south, so that's going to be quite noteworthy. But of course, the main story is going to be the snow further north. We'll have a look at all the detail on that in a second. Before I get on with that, just to say about the ads. So there's links to articles on all of the pages. Have a browse, widgets and clips with links. If there's any articles that you're interested in, you're helping us to pay for the website. Thanks so much for doing that. There's also video ads, both pages. So you own the content when you watch them. When you watch them, they close back up again. Helps to pay for GazWeathers.com. And just say the Christmas shop is open. So if you've got any Christmas shopping to do at Amazon between now and Christmas, just click the green button that says Christmas shop, and it'll take you to our Christmas shop. From there, you click the Amazon banners and you go to Amazon, do your shopping as normal. Don't need to do any, anything different whatsoever. It's purely the fact that you are going from GazWeathers through to Amazon that means we get a revenue fee on the things that you're purchasing. And thanks so much for getting involved. And thanks for doing that. Later on today, it'll be coming up around 7 o'clock this evening, we're going to have a Christmas update. That'll be the fourth Christmas update. I'll talk about that at the end of the video. So, just very quick signing off with Situation America, because of course I know a few people do watch our videos from the United States. It's election day over there, so everybody can be going out and voting. Very quiet weather. They're having a really mild autumn, or a mild fall this year, and we've got this big ridge out in the western part of America. But it's a bit of a trough in the Midwest, but overall, a lot of anticyclonic high pressure influences. The upper air temperatures look really warm for the time of year. There's no real onset of the winter. Even up into Canada, I have to go a long way north to find anything particularly cold. So whilst our side of the northern hemisphere, sort of Europe, Russia, Eurasia, whilst that side of the northern hemisphere has been very cold, over on the American side of the northern hemisphere, so United States, Canada, it has been a really warm autumn, very mild conditions. That continues into today. Look how far north into Canada, for example, those warm upper air temperatures are going out in the west. As I say, no sign of winter. These coloured lines indicate different air masses, and really winter is behind this blue line just here, the 528 line. That is a very, very long way north up in towards Canada. It's a warm scene across much of the United States at the moment. There is, as I say, a trough in the Midwest, particularly these northeastern parts of the Midwest. So we could get some showers coming through there today, but many places are going to be dry. The eastern seaboard looks dry. Most central and western parts of the states looking dry. Some thundery showers, thunderstorms around the Gulf Coast, but really lots and lots of dry weather and warm temperatures coming up today. And to be honest, these mild conditions look like they're continuing into next week as well. This is the chart for a week today for America, and still lots of high pressure going on then. Still no real sign of winter digging in. There's the upper air temperatures again, looking very mild, very warm really for the time of the year, and largely dry conditions as well away from the Pacific Northwest. It's almost universally dry prediction for this time next week. So the quiet, very mild and dry autumn continues for the time being in America. Completely different over on our side of the Atlantic. As I've said, we're having a cold, or did have a very warm start to autumn in September, but it's turned colder now, and we've got a weather system coming in from the west today, producing outbreaks of rain in the west. That rain is going to spread eastwards through the course of the day, and is going to engage with colder air. So this is how the GFS is predicting the rain to snow transition to take place through the course this afternoon. This is forecast for midday, rain in the west, otherwise mostly dry. Let's go through into the afternoon, and there we are. We've got rain pushing in through the Irish Sea, hitting the cold air across Scotland northwest England turning to snow. Further south through Wales into towards southwest England and Midlands, it's mostly rain coming through this afternoon. Overnight, a big snow event potentially for some parts of Scotland down in towards northern parts of England. Quite a bit of snow being predicted there. Rain further south, and that continues up to midnight. Heavy rain swinging in across much of England and Wales. Come up to northern England and Scotland, and it's outbreaks of snow that we are looking at. And of course, the heaviest of the snow and the accumulations are mostly going to be over high ground, but there could be some coming down to lower levels at times as well. 3 o'clock in the morning brings the heaviest rain through the Midlands in towards southern southeast. Bright colours in there, indicating some really wet weather. Go further north into northern England, then up towards Scotland, and we've got outbreaks of snow still being signalled. 6 o'clock in the morning, flies of rain moving in towards East Anglia, still the snow there for northern England and parts of Scotland as well. And as we go through into tomorrow morning, it all starts to ease away, but there's still the suggestion, even at 9 o'clock in the morning, that there's some snow continuing for Scotland and coming down in towards northern parts of England. So quite a snow event possible for some northern parts of the country. We just have a quick look and see if you can find the UK snow depth. So that's it. By 9 o'clock in the morning, we see a large part of Scotland is being predicted to have 5 to 10 centimetres of snow, maybe a little bit more over high ground. It could go up to 15 centimetres perhaps across some southwestern parts of Scotland. And down in towards northern England, the risk there is again around 5 centimetres, possibly over the tops of the Pennines, up to around 10 centimetres. Further south of that, no risk of snow, because that's where we have the outbreaks of rain. That's based on the GFS. So essentially, it's the same idea as we had with Snowwatch, which is that it's the north really that's in for snow from this one. The south, you're going to get significant rain. And if you do get a significant fall of snow, get a covering of snow, remember you can send your snow pics to gazoffice@gmail.com, and we'll be more than happy to feature them. This is Euro 4 from Weather Online. That's for weatheroutlook.com. This is weatheronline.co.uk. And finally, both of these websites on the links page. Precipitation type forecast from Euro 4 for midnight. Rain in the south, a mix of rain and snow going further north, and up in towards 6 o'clock in the morning. Again, it's Scotland and northern England has the risk of snow. Some bright pink colours there indicating some quite heavy snow, especially over high ground. Further south, it is outbreaks of rain. Tomorrow, well, that's going to clear away into the North Sea, and then it's going to be showery the rest of the week, and turning eventually by the weekend a little bit less cold. In fact, we are in for a slightly milder period through the middle part of the month. It was anticipated to have a cold start to November, then have a milder period mid-month, and then probably go a bit colder again later in the month. And this is being signalled quite nicely by the Arctic Oscillation of the observed and forecast chart, actually. So remember, with the Arctic Oscillation, it's an index that's reflecting the state of the atmosphere in the North Pole. It's not driving anything, it just tells you essentially what the atmosphere is doing up over the pole. So when the Arctic Oscillation is positive, it's telling you that you've got low pressure over the pole. When the Arctic Oscillation is negative, it's telling you that you've got high pressure up over the pole. The black line here takes us back into the summer with the Arctic Oscillation. You see, through most of the summer, the AO was actually on the positive side, so we had quite a bit of low pressure up over the North Pole during the summer. But at the start of October, the Arctic Oscillation really went negative, and we've essentially stayed negative with the Arctic Oscillation ever since. We've had a few little spikes upwards, but only back towards neutral. Generally, it has been a positive scene with the Arctic Oscillation, a negative scene, I should say, with the Arctic Oscillation throughout most of October and into November. The red part of this chart is the forecast part, and you can see that actually the Arctic Oscillation through the middle part of the month, this is 16th of November just here, is forecast to go a bit positive. So this is going to be associated with increased westerlies for us, and we're going to find that it turns a bit milder as well. However, right at the very end of this chart, into this bit just here, which is the second half of November, we do see many of these red lines dipping back in towards negative territory. So what is probably going to happen is that we'll find a relaxing of the blocking that we've had through the first bit of November. That'll be around the middle part of the month. We'll get the westerlies back. It'll turn a bit milder. But then the second half of the month, particularly I think focusing on the final 10 days, we may well find blocking coming back, and it could well get colder again. Of course, it's a cooling time of year, so the second half of November is likely to have a greater risk of snow and cold conditions if it gets cold compared to the first half. Again, we see this quite well on the GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles the next 2 weeks. These are upper air temperatures, remember. So we're starting off quite cold now. We're going to stay pretty chilly through to weekend. Then we get this milder period coming through over weekend and into the start of next week. And then notice we're cooling the temperatures off again into the second half of the month. There's nothing really cold showing up there yet, and quite a bit of scatter. But I think the trend, you see that from the white line. Actually, you don't often mention white line, but the thick white line is the trend line, the trend of the ensemble. You can see that is dipping down into the second half of the month. And I would have thought it is likely to be turning colder through the second half of November. Also, more unsettled as well. This is today's precipitation coming up. Rain in the south, snow further north. Then we get a few days of drier or really more showery conditions through the second half of the week. And then rainfall over weekend and into next week as well. Looks like a more unsettled spell coming up. So this is GFS for Saturday. Low pressure coming in off the Atlantic. It is stalling a little bit again. We've still got a lot of cold air up to the northeast of us. As this weather front comes in on Saturday, it is stalling quite a bit and produce a fair amount of rain Friday night into Saturday. Eventually, again, that does clear eastwards, and then that takes into this milder westerly, southwesterly flow on Sunday. So the temperatures will start to get a bit milder over weekend, and that continues into the start of next week as well. High pressure to the south, low pressure to the north, bringing these westerlies in across the country, so it's likely to be a milder start to next week. But I don't think that lasts throughout the week, because we get through to midweek, that high pressure begins to pull back into the mid-Atlantic again, turning the winds more towards the northwest. They look colder. As we go through to the latter stages of next week, this takes us up to day 10, which is Friday 18th of November. It looks like we're starting to bring in colder air out of Greenland around this trough of low pressure. Notice quite a bit of blocking returning to the north up here. That's indicative of the Arctic Oscillation going negative again into the second half of the month. And if we run out beyond this, actually, it does start to turn even colder. These areas of low pressure begin to dig southwards and eastwards again with this trough. The ridge is building through the Atlantic, going up to Greenland. So by second half of the month, this is Tuesday, 22nd of November, the winds are back in from the north again, and they're likely to be colder than the winds we have right now. So still that idea that middle part of November, yes, it turns milder. Second half of the month, likely to get colder again. ECWF, very similar. Low pressure trying to struggle across the country over the weekend. Going to produce quite a wet day, potentially for Saturday. Into next week, we start to push in those milder west-southwesterly winds. So it does warm up, it does turn milder, with temperatures returning maybe a bit above average through the early part of next week. But then later on next week, it looks like it's cooling down again as low pressure begins to drive back off the Atlantic, find bands of rain moving through, and behind these bands of rain, each one of them probably introduces a colder push of air. This is day 10, which is Friday 18th of November. Still nothing desperately cold, but notice ridging is beginning to move back up towards the northwest, starting to push up towards Greenland. I would have thought what's like to happen with this trough just here is that it's likely to go south eastwards, and then that introduces northerly winds for the final week to 10 days of November, potentially. Finally, just having a look at CFS V2 for the next month. These are 500 millibar high dominance broken down into week periods. The first week period takes us from the 8th through to 14th of November. It's a week we are currently in. Got the trough of low pressure to the east of us. We've got the blocking feature up to the northeast and out in the Atlantic. This looks quite cold, really, with the jet stream doing something like that. But remember, early next week, it is going to start turning a bit milder from this ridge, particularly in the Atlantic, bringing westerly winds back through. Go through to week 2, and that is the 15th through 21st of November, so that's mid-month. This is the milder period. We've got the low pressure to the north, we've got high pressure down to the south, and the winds are coming in from the west. So that one does look milder, and it has been anticipated that the middle part of the month would turn milder. We go through to week 3, 22nd through 28th of November. Trough of low pressure down to the south. Notice you've got some orange colours to the north, high pressure potentially up there. The jet stream going a bit to the south of us as well. That looks cooler, not potentially all that cold, but it is cooler and is quite unsettled. And then finally, week 4 looks like this. The trough of low pressure then is down across France, the central Med. We've got ridging over Scandinavia and going into northeastern parts of Europe, and also quite a bit of blocking over towards Greenland. Actually, that could form one very large block, I would have thought, up there. So heights high up there, low pressure down there. That's likely to be significantly colder and potentially turning the winds into the east by the end of November and the start of December. That could give us quite a cold start to the actual winter, which begins, of course, on the 1st of December. So, well, all in all, it's all on course, really, with what we anticipated. We have the cold start to November. Looks like we get the milder middle period, and then I think going colder again, second half of the month. That's what I am anticipating for the rest of November. We will see how it goes, of course. Later on today, we're having a look at Christmas, doing the 4th Christmas update. That'll be released around 7 o'clock tonight on the Christmas updates page. Come back for that. I haven't had a look at the charts yet, so I don't know what it's going to show, but that'll be with you at 7 o'clock tonight. And all remains to say, thanks so much for watching.